The man you are seeing on the screen right now is none other than Karl Lagerfeld.
I go between the two cities because I have a plane. So.
In shock and mourning today, we got word just a few hours ago that designer Karl Lagerfeld has died, a giant in fashion.
And I think people very much sort of see that side of Karl, and they think that's Karl. And for me, that was just a sort of...
Karl Otto Lagerfeld was born in Hamburg on 10th September 1933 to Elisabeth and Otto Lagerfeld. His father, coming from a family of wealthy foreign merchants, was a prosperous businessman. His parents married in 1930. Karl Lagerfeld's journey to the top started in an unusual way. By the time he was a teenager, Karl knew he was destined for something bigger, something that went beyond the provincial lifestyle of post-war Germany. At the age of 14, he moved to Paris, the city of lights. Lagerfeld was known to misinterpret his birth year, claiming to be younger than his actual age. He was known to insist that no one knew his real birth date. In an interview on French television in February 2009, Lagerfeld said he was born neither in 1933 nor 1938. In April 2013, he finally declared,
"I was born in 1935.
A birth announcement was, however, published by his parents in 1933, and the baptismal register in Hamburg also lists him as born in that year. Wilhelm Sonntag published his baptismal records in 2008 and interviewed his teacher and a classmate, who both confirmed he actually was born in 1933. Later, his death record confirmed the same. Despite that, Karl Lagerfeld announced publicly he was celebrating his 70th birthday on 10th September 2008, despite actually turning 75. His older sister, Martha Christiane, was born in 1931. Lagerfeld had an older half-sister, Theodora Dorothea, from his father's first marriage. As a child, he showed great interest in the visual art, and former schoolmates recalled he was always making sketches.
He sat behind me in school. And sometimes I'd turn around and say, "Well, Karl Otto, what are you up to back there?" And of course, he was drawing. No matter what we were doing in class, Karl Otto was always busy sketching.
Lagerfeld told interviewers he learned much more by constantly visiting the Kunsthalle Hamburg Museum than he ever did in school. Lagerfeld's early career saw him working under fashion royalty. He became an assistant to Pierre Balmain before moving on to work for Jean Patou. Here he developed his design philosophy, timeless yet modern. In 1966, Lagerfeld became a designer for Chloé, working alongside Gaby Aguillon, and in 1974, he became the sole designer for the brand. In the 1970s, Lagerfeld's work for Chloé made him one of the most prominent designers in the world, often vying with YSL for most influential. But behind the glamorous facade of runway shows and champagne-fueled after-parties, Lagerfeld was fiercely competitive. He wanted to dominate the industry, and in the years that followed, his ambitions would know no limits. In the 1980s, Lagerfeld was hired by Chanel. Which was considered a near-dead brand at the time, since the death of designer Coco Chanel a decade prior, taking over the couture there in 1983. Lagerfeld brought life back into the company, making it a huge success by revamping its ready-to-wear fashion line. Lagerfeld integrated the interlocked CC monogram of Coco Chanel into a style pattern for the House of Chanel.
The House of Chanel.
Lagerfeld also changed the Chanel silhouette that had prevailed since the early 1960s, making it more 80s by padding the shoulder, shortening and tightening the skirt, raising the heel and enlarging the jewelry and purses. All controversial moves, especially the short skirts. Chanel had always disapproved of above-the-knee skirts. This new direction was actually initiated the year before Lagerfeld took the helm, 1982, when a design team led by Hervé Leger, a Lagerfeld protégé, operated at the house. Lagerfeld is suspected of having influenced Hervé Leger's changes. Lagerfeld understood that to bring Chanel back to forefront, he needed to make it relevant for a new generation. His bold, sometimes controversial moves shocked the fashion world. Chanel was suddenly fresh, modern, and bold. A brand that appealed to everyone, from aristocrats to pop stars. Lagerfeld was recognized for his signature white hair, black sunglasses, fingerless gloves, and high-starched, detachable collars. He had an 18-year relationship with French aristocrat and socialite Jacques de Béchar. Though Lagerfeld said that the relationship was never sexual, "I infinitely loved that boy." Lagerfeld reportedly said of de Béchar, "But I had no physical contact with him, of course. I was seduced by his physical charm."
Jacques, on ne présente pas le fameux Pierre Berger, main de fer sans gants de velours.
C'est faux. C'est toi qui as eu raison de choisir le prêt-à-porter. Moi, je suis celui de
De Béchar had an affair with the couturier Yves Saint Laurent. Subsequently, Saint Laurent's business partner and former lover Pierre Berg accused Lagerfeld of being behind a gambit to destabilize the rival fashion house. De Béchar died of AIDS in 1989, while Lagerfeld stayed on a cot at his bedside in his hospital room during the final stages of his illness. After Lagerfeld's death, tabloids reported that he was to be cremated and his ashes mixed with those of de Béchar, which Lagerfeld kept in an urn, or with those of his mother. Lagerfeld owned a red point Berman cat named Choupette, which in June 2013 he indicated he would marry if it were legal. According to reports, the designer included the feline in his will from 2015 and designated $1.5 million for its care and maintenance. In July 2019, the house of Karl Lagerfeld announced the development of the white shirt project. Lagerfeld once said,
"If you ask me what I'd most like to have invented in fashion, I'd say the white shirt. For me, the white shirt is the basis of everything. Everything else comes after."
The global project was curated by Karl Lagerfeld's then style advisor Gary Reutefeldt and featured designs from Cara Delevingne, Kate Moss, Tommy Hilfiger, Diane Kruger, Takashi Murakami, Amber Villetta, and British street artist Endless amongst others. A white shirt tribute event at Paris Fashion Week featured Anna Wintour, Kia Gerber, and Karlie Kloss. 7 was Lagerfeld's favorite number, and as such, 7 of the final designs were replicated 77 times and sold for €777 each, with proceeds benefiting a French charity affiliated with Paris Descartes University. His outspoken views on body image and beauty standards often landed him in hot water. In the early 2000s, he famously declared that
"No one wants to see curvy women on the runway,"
sparking widespread outrage. Despite the backlash, Lagerfeld remained unapologetic, a man who, for better or worse, lived by his own rules. Lagerfeld in 2009 joined critics of supermodel Heidi Klum following German designer Wolfgang Youth's remarks about Klum, who had posted naked on the cover of the German edition of GQ magazine. Youth described Klum as being no runway model. "She's simply too heavy and has too big a bust." Lagerfeld commented that neither he nor Claudia Schiffer knew Klum, as she had never worked in Paris, and that she was insignificant in the world of high fashion, being more bling-bling and glamorous than current fashion. He created an international furore on 9th February 2012 when he called the singer Adele a little too fat.
I said, for such a beautiful girl, she was a little round. It's not the same thing. You know, this was totally misquoted. And in another interview in the English paper, I had said,
but when you design, are you designing for every woman? Or
Nobody designs for every woman. Everybody designs for an idea of a woman, for what is in fact his or her personality, of what's going on in fashion.
Adele responded that she is like the majority of women, and she's very proud of that fact.
You ever feel pressure to, well, I gotta look a certain way?
No, never. I've never seen magazine covers and seen music videos and been like, I need to look like that if I want to be a success. Never. I don't want to be some skinny mini with my tits out. I really don't want to do it. And I don't want people confusing.
Lagerfeld later caused another controversy on 31st July 2012 when he criticized Biba Middleton, the sister of Catherine, Princess of Wales, for her looks. Karl Lagerfeld supported using fur in fashion, though he did not wear it himself and ate little meat. In a 2009 BBC interview, he defended hunters and criticized the debate on fur as childish in a world that uses leather widely. Beta condemned Lagerfeld, calling him a fashion dinosaur, and mocked his kill or be killed stand. In 2001, activists protesting his fur use accidentally hit Calvin Klein with tofu pies instead.
We want to show to millions of people what happened in this kind of a fashion show, and we have to do something strong to get the attention of the media. But we want to save the animals, and we think that it's really.
By 2010, after Lagerfeld used fake fur in a Chanel collection, Beta acknowledged the advancement of folks' fur.
I caught a glimpse of a red flaggy wave, but I chose to look away. Let you in anyway. Now we're deep in and I'm feeling like.
While Chanel was his most famous venture, Lagerfeld's work with Fendi was no less groundbreaking. In 1965, he joined the Italian fashion house, where he worked for an astonishing 54 years, transforming Fendi into a powerhouse of modern luxury.
Feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go. Go. Feel like I should go. Feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should feel like I should go.
Karl Lagerfeld passed away in 2019.
Designer Karl Lagerfeld has died, a giant in the fashion industry, of course.
But his influence remains stronger than ever. His legacy is felt not only in the collections that continue to bear his name, but also in the way fashion has evolved in the 21st century. Lagerfeld was not just a designer, he was a visionary who changed how we think about luxury, style, and personal branding. As he once said,
"Fashion is about change.
No one can embrace change like Karl Lagerfeld." Thanks for watching the video, guys. I will see you in the next video. Till then, stay safe and stay healthy.